Hello, and welcome to Bearing in Mind Beer Reviews. Today we begin a series of 4 beers from a brewery that is not very well known, even in Japan, and certainly not outside of Japan. This brewery is called Soni Kohgen, and they are located in a far corner of Nara Prefecture, in an area that borders on Mie Prefecture. It's a very, very rural area, and they make a number of beers, and I have 4 of them, which I will review. And this is the first one. It's called Kohgen Pilsner. And Kohgen is a Japanese word which means valley, or in this case, I think plateau. And Soni is the name of the village in this area, and I happened to go there last week. It took over almost 2 hours to get there by car. It's quite a ways from Nagoya. You could probably get there in about two hours from Osaka if you caught the connections right. You have to take a bus from either Nabari or Haibara, and it is not easily accessible. And they call themselves they say they were designated the most beautiful village in Japan, and there are signs on the way there saying beautiful villages of Japan. I don't know that the village itself is so beautiful, but certainly the surrounding areas are quite beautiful. So it's got this is the highland, the plateau, which is covered with pampas grass. You can see in the foreground here, and it's completely covered with that. And they burn it in March and let it grow again through the year. So a lot of people are hiking through this area. It also has some very, very unusual mountains. One of them is called Byobu Iwa, and it looks like a kind of volcanic feature coming up. And this is right over the village of Soni, and then some unusual shaped mountains as well. So it's a beautiful place to visit. But back to the beer. Soni Kohgen has been around since, by their reckonings, 1999, so 20 years or so. And the only time I've ever seen them is at an annual festival in Osaka called Craft Beer Live. I've never seen their beer on tap in a bar anywhere. And they tend to, I think they confine themselves to the Nara area, and they have an online shop as well, but I think their beer is probably mostly available in Nara. And they claim to be the only brewery in Nara Prefecture, and of course we know that's so the only craft beer in Nara Prefecture, which is not true. There is now Nara Brewing, which is an excellent brewer in Nara City itself, and there's also one called Golden Rabbit, which is not so great. So Nara does have more than Soni Kohgen, but they've been around for a while, and to be honest, I've never been impressed with their beer at the festival. So I went to out to the brewery area. It's part of a sort of rural farmland resort area. There are many of these around Japan where you can stay overnight if you like. You can there are kind of rural activities where you can do farming things, baking, making sausages, stuff like that, and buy local produce. And you can do that at Soni Kohgen as well, and buy their beer. I saw the brewery, but I didn't have a chance to go in. I simply bought the beer and came back. In any case, this is a Pilsner, and it is 5% alcohol. And on RateBeer, this one has 14 ratings. It has an average score of 2.5 out of 5, not very high, 14% for all beers, and 37% for its percentile, or for its style, which is Pilsner. And the last time I had this beer was at this festival in 2014, so about 6 years ago. And I will try to give it a go today again for you. And we'll see how it goes. Again, this is Soni Kohgen Pilsner, 5%. And it pours out kind of thin, very pale yellow. Clear. About a thick finger of light, sloshy, sudsy foam. Carbonation. You can see some lazy carbonation going up from the top there, from the bottom. I'm sorry, and yeah, okay. And aroma. Okay, it's got some mild grass, hay, kind of like vegetation that was raked up together and put in a pile. It smells a little bit stale. Okay, I can taste Pilsner malt for sure. When I went there, they had bags of Bamberg malt, Pilsner malt, sitting outside. So I'm assuming they have really good quality malt there. But then after the initial flavor, it gets a little bit artificial, a little bit chemical-like. There's kind of a cloying sweetness in the upper palate. Very minimal bittering, slightly metallic as well. It resembles a Pilsner, but I don't think it's a very good example of that. Apparently they have a German brewer or brewmaster there. But honestly, for a brewery that's been going since 1999, I would expect a little bit better from them. And craft brewers that use this cap, this is the old cap that was sold before craft beer really got going in Japan, and most breweries were using it at that time. And when I see a brewery that's still using this cap all these many years later, it's kind of a warning sign. So a brewery that hasn't gone and I mean, they make their own labels, of course, but if they haven't gone out and made their own cap and they're still buying these kinds of caps which say specially brewed, selected malt and hops, you know, you see this on a lot of craft beers. It's kind of a warning sign, you know, attention to the detail. In any case, once again, Soni Kohgen Pilsner, 5%. You can order this online if you like. Okay, well, that's it for today. We'll see you next time, and we're going to review 3 more Soni Kohgen beers for you. All right, bye-bye.